All right, hey, what's good, Peter? I'm just right now. I'm still trying to blast off on TikTok and Instagram. Just posted on my story, blasting off live and alive. Welcome to Dick Cut A Board. welcome, one and all. Today we are discussing the Epstein files, other news and trip reports and more. And yeah, no, a little bit of a hot mess right now. I feel like I should have finished blasting off before I went ahead and it's okay. Keep current selection. Camera. Click. Okay. I just need to post the link now. I'm gonna start putting on the CoffeeZilla video. Well, nah, we can just be chill. We don't have to put on the CoffeeZilla video just yet. I wish this was like I have to hold this, I guess, in order to be like audible. Which is kind of ridiculous. Where's that audio from? Oh, from here. No, don't get rid of music. Whatever. TikTok always does that. Sticker. No. How do you add a link on a TikTok video? I don't think I've actually ever done that. Let me just say. Let me just write it down then. Live now. Edit. What's the story? Boom. I could go live. I was gonna put this up here, but that's where my forgot I have two cameras now. Because I usually put that up there when I needed to use my phone as the camera, but my phone is not reliable enough. So I went out to Walmart to get a new one. Either Walmart or Best Buy. So how am I gonna do this? Because I was listening back to the video I'd uploaded. Not like uploaded, that I had made for the VOD. I was listening back to my VOD from, like, I think it was either yesterday or the day before. No, yesterday I did not stream. Yeah, it was the day before. And it was cutting out a bit, which was a shame. Especially for the parts that I did, like, especially, like, want to actually see, there to be some sort of discussion about. I don't think the trip report got messed up. I didn't get to check that one out. Today we're gonna end the live stream with the trip report. My link tree is literally right there. All my socials are right below me. And therefore, today, we might as well just get straight into the docket so that the chat can, when chat starts rolling in, we can just kind of head straight there. Let's start off with the Epstein files. I really have tried not to pay attention to what's going on. I did watch one CoffeeZilla video to just get like a general gist of it. But I didn't pay too much attention to it. So we're gonna react to that now. It was on Vodzilla, right? Voidzilla. Let me just Rabbit gaslighting me. Yeah.
Build a website you love with Wix.
Should have what's it called? I thought my ad blocker was on. Let me turn off this music. Hmm. Odd. What is? Never mind. Just turn on my iPad real quick so I can get my third screen going so I can put this actually up. Yes. An orientation lock. Give me half a sec. Awesome. Boom, we're back. This one goes off. This one goes up.
Released 11,000 Jeffrey Epstein files that they hadn't publicly put out yet, but we got access to them. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to access them. Here's what that looks like. It's volume 8
Epstein files here.
of the files, but you can see right now that they've only released 7 data sets.
Not many
so myself, the guys at Jmail, and the guys at Dropsite, we've been investigating this. I've partnered with them to kind of look at some of these files. And they got access to volume 8 early. You would just type it in the URL. It wasn't like indexable on search, but you could just type in the specific URL and it would just come up. You could download the entire zip file, and that's what we did.
J-Flights,
We've been
J-Drive,
looking through
Jeffrey.
it. I want to go over some of it because
Wait. Oh my god, this is actually awesome. Oh, it's a person. They made this? Yo. Like based off of Google? Or is it just it's an account. Is it already signed in? Huh? Interesting. Well, he's gonna I guess he's gonna describe that. Jodify. Oh, this is so interesting. United versus Ghislaine. From over there, once he turned from there, once he turned over, he wanted his nipples pinched while he masturbated. Oh, that's gross. Not the grossest thing in the world to want that, but like coming from Epstein. Mm. um, put the video back up to play. He didn't care how old they were as long as they weren't over 18. I think I think that's a one big pretty caveat. I don't know if he didn't like dark skinned girls or black girls. Yeah, we definitely we've been seeing that. There was are these quotes from like people? Or is this audible? Does this actually like play a clip? Like a vocal clip? Hmm. Interesting. Um no, yeah. Where was the quote that had like described that 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 Epstein was talking about some younger girls, and he was like getting mad at someone for bringing back a someone who was over 18 or like appeared to be over 18 or something like that. He was like, also she's brown. Disgusting. He touched her, and then okay. Am I allowed to read this? Then 16. Then she went and massaged Epstein, and okay, didn't touch her. Okay, wait, what's the rest of that? Then eventually he would. He told her that he was best friends with with the owner of Victoria's Secret. That she would have to. Let me read this. These are all clips from starred quotes. There it is. Mm. Epstein. Yeah, these are all just quotes from the Epstein files, I guess. You were explaining earlier that Redacted said she was approximately 14 when ugh, things progressed each time. Wow. No. Oh my god. It stays bad. I'm there's there was no expectation. Okay, good morning. There was no expectation that it wouldn't be the mo- most disgusting thing you would have heard, right? Um, Predators get installation. What's his name? Um, because of their social capital, right? There's monetary capital. In terms, capital kind of just means agency, right? In terms of owning capital, in terms of having the ability to do something, right? If it's a if it's in the terms of a business, if it's in the terms of put on the music, then if I'm just gonna talk, if it's in the terms of a business, then capital will speak to as the means of production, right? The ability to say this is how we're going to produce things, this is what we're going to produce, this is the method that we're going to take to do that, um, and you're the one who has the say over that, right? That's why you then have that sort of capital, right? If you have say over a like a political decision, what you have is owns what you likely have is ownership of political means or means of politics, right? Means of policy. Not likely. If you have political capital, that means you have means of changing policy. Like you own that means, right? If you have social capital, you have means of manipulating the people around you to do your bidding, which includes ignoring when you do heinous things. And oftentimes, all of these like different forms of capital, these different forms of agency coincide with one of each other because we put the ability to affect our lives, the ability to escape our own death sometimes, um, the ability to do things in the face of an indifferent universe, right? That's the it's to look at this universe that we understood to be predetermined or whatever, and to say, hey, no, screw all that. Move out of there actually. Hey, no, I don't mess with none of that, right? We could look at Trump. Mm. What I want, what is willed of this section of reality is all that necessarily matters to this section of reality, because it doesn't recognize its inherent interconnectivity and interrelationship and interdependence with the rest of it. It thinks itself separate, right? And experiences the fact that it's not. And in that mismatch, right? In that you are eventually going to die, right? It comes out of a fear of death ultimately, right? In that, you are afraid to kill your ego. You are afraid to lose your you are afraid to have your ego killed, period, right? You inflate it. You make it the largest there ever was, right? Um, in terms of whatever way that looks like. The ego, as in the sense of self, as in your sense of self aggrandizement, right? That's why it comes alongside with narcissism. That's why it comes alongside lack of empathy and all these other things and all that. The We don't have the ability to change reality on our own, and when we do recognize that, we're just kind of flowing along with our material conditions. The conditions that we existed in will continue to flow, and will continue to happen, right? um and if you're in a position where um if you are within the material reality where you have the ability to dictate another person's material reality, as in you have the collective agency of other people under your command, right? In that way, you can feel as if you are escaping some of it, You can feel as if you are invincible. Um, and when a predator does that, we have no genuine means of addressing that. In this current society, we have no means of addressing that when it comes to a predator, a warlord, or a monger, or all that, right? Um, but a lot of the time, also, these conditions, the conditions in which you have, like control over other people's agency, and you exert it, constantly. When that happens, the conditions tend to create people who exploit that on the regular. Condition Rich people are going to be more predisposed to becoming pedophiles. They are going to be more predisposed to having that sort of say in how this child, right, and saying that like the rest of society can't say anything, right? You are more predisposed to being able to do that, and you are also more predisposed to wanting to do that because the rest of your reality tells you that you should do that in every single walk of life, right? Tells you should do that politically, tells you should do that um financially, all that socially. that's why that's why it's the pedophilic elite, is they're afraid of their own mortality, and self-indulgence in their vice, um, is how they escape that, and that vice is exerting um power in order to inflate the ego so that you may not kill it. That's why Epstein wanted to do what he had done. That's why all these people had continued to don't want to stop it, haven't tried to stop it, in terms of holding the people responsible accountable, um because again, they they don't have agency. Other people recognize their agency, is the thing. But if we were to strip them of their agency, if all of this were to be released, the whole system would collapse. If all of this were to be released, right, and we do fully, like with no 100% shadow, no doubt in our minds, right? Once we get the confirmation for everything that we've already known, their illusion of self a grandiosity, right? Their image of being the the ones in control of the world, right? Even though it's more like what they want to happen just ends up happening because people listen to them by using their agency to produce that, right? That image will shatter, and it is going to catch a lot of them by surprise. Oh, and the bigger your ego gets, the easier it is to shrink another's ego, right? In your own mind, and to say that myself is like the largest, most important thing there is, meaning that person's self, even though they may feel that they have an important like life and livelihood and reality to exist under, it doesn't matter as much as mine, simply because I choose to say so, and other people don't stop me. All of this stuff is a game. All of this stuff, no matter how harmful, no matter how real, no matter how visceral, no matter how violent, no matter how disgusting, despicable, deplorable, um, it is a game that we as a society choose to play. Um, and they've used the means of said game to literally like fix themselves in positions where they're untouchable, in terms of like hiding out from the rest of the world so that they can't account for their crimes, but also, um, they a lot of the times this insulation is social, right? A lot of the times this insulation is like the thing they're like, oh, they have all the money, they can do whatever they want because we think money is the way that we distribute resources. They think money is the way that we can enact our agency rather than a symbol that we use to be able to show our agency. It's a you get agency if you pay into this system that is created with the intention of creating a person with the most agency, right? The more it's not a cyclical system. It's not a provide, I provide for you, you provide for me, right? And then like you kick someone out or whatever. It's a you provide for me, I provide a little bit for you, and then I provide a lot to the person above me, right? And then they provide a little bit to me, and it goes all the way up until one person collects the most agency, right? The purpose of money is building God. The purpose of money is building a person who has all of the agency in the world. House oversight, court documents. Julia Bryant is suing the estate of Jeffrey Epstein, alleging horrors of sexual abuse and trafficking that began when she was 20 years old. Um, hmm, hmm, um, awful, disgusting. I don't doubt it. Um, maybe not Epstein himself though. According to the complaints, Epstein's abuse included trafficking Bryant to his houses in the U.S. and Paris. A complaint quotes Epstein flippantly referring to his phone as the difference between a murderer and a person who steals a bagel. Quotes Epstein flippantly referring to his prior conviction. Complaint filed against alleging sexual trafficking by Jeffrey Epstein. Wasn't this on? It's supposed to be looking at the Trump docs, right? In the circuit of the 17th Judicial Circuit, and Broward County, Florida, case number 15, Bradley J. Edwards and Paul Cassie, videotape disposition of Alan M. Charwitz. Who? This. Virginia Roberts and the things that she was lying. She said she was flown out by Jeffrey. Was she lying when said she was flown out by Jeffrey Epstein's airplane? Mr. Indike. Objection. Work product and common interest. A. I think I can answer that. Based on material it was provided as produced in discovery, which would not be subject to privilege, there seems to be evidence that she did fly in the airplane with Jeffrey Epstein. Q. She was lying when she said she flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane across state lines at a time when she was under the age of 18. Was she? A. I have no idea, Mr. Indike. Objection. Same objection. Work product and attorney-client common interest. I have no idea, but again, I have no idea. Q. Is there any non-privileged information that you could review that would give you an idea to the answer to that question? Or that would give you the answer to that question? Q. What do we have here? What we have here? What we have here is only a fraction of the flights, where Dave Rogers was one of the pilots. Can you help us get the flight logs from Larry? I'd love to. My thought these were huh. Yo, these comments, bro. Why are there comments on the Epstein files? Y'all, what are we doing? I'm gonna pull out a notepad. Ah. Mm, is there an application? Nope. Mm, I probably shouldn't be looking that live. Doesn't matter.
Believe some of what we've seen directly contradicts the FBI's earlier statement that, oh, there's no evidence or we did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. That's what they told us, right? They said, we've already looked through the files. You don't need to see the files back in July.
What? What is this? You realize he was a diddler, right? Bro would be on the list. Bro would be on the list, yes. Oh, these are all people named FBI agents. Why do they think he's a hero? I don't understand that. Do they not recognize he was the Bibi Netanyahu of the time? Ugh. They're the reason they're talking about Netanyahu and Israel and all these things is because all of this, all of these Epstein files, um, while also being evidence of the fragility of the elite's ego and our ability and responsibility to break, kill, um, said ego, as in said like a self-aggrandized sense of selves, um, in whatever way that manifests. If that means dropping all the Epstein files, if that means French Revolution, um, not inciting violence. I do not incite violence. Um, but I do see a possible future where an American public, definitely not a social revolution, not yet. Perhaps a liberal democratic revolution, in which we replace these systems, but we've got just a little bit more time um to try and fix them again, um, before they destroy the. We also have to remember, like, this is all happening. We're under a time crunch. We have to get this shit like solved before we all die to climate change, y'all. This is we do not have the time to just sit back and relax a little bit. Um, the American Empire, at the very least, has to either completely reverse its position on climate change and the rest of the world should follow suit. Um, and I think if the American Empire were to fall, there would be a noticeable reversal of that, but I don't necessarily think the people with the capital in terms of like the agency in the world, right? I don't think these richest people in the world would do literally anything, or these richest companies in the world would do anything to necessarily um undo that, unless somehow China were to whip them into shape after becoming the hegemon or whatever. Um, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, Epstein. Um, there is a conspiracy theory which does appear to be very very credible in terms of Jeffrey Epstein was a person who was heavily involved with both CIA and Mossad operatives and agents and things, and was allegedly, and not like, I don't know if it was like an informant, but he definitely was, or people are saying that he was a blackmail, like he was used as a blackmail weapon to control, to control the agency of world leaders, for the benefit of the United States and Israel, which is basically just the United States. Remember that Israel is a proxy, is closer to a colony of the United States than a country of its own. Um, for real, I'm just here to see the Jeff's drive. I'm for real just here to see Jeff's drives. What the hell? No one's laughing. Boys, we forgot to redact this one. I'm not gonna unredact a lot of these. I'm not even gonna try. Bruh, nice try. What are these comments? Gang, we are Charlie Kirk. We carry the flame. Um, if you like Charlie Kirk, why don't you dig him up and oh, wow, that's huh. I think we gotta turn the Nintendo music back on. Actually, let me just put on Coffeezilla. Where
Of course, all the pressure has made them now start releasing some of this stuff. And we believe that this was slated for release, but remember, they weren't going to release all the files yet. They had to hold some back. Well, we believe that these 11,000 files are part of what they held back, because clearly they aren't out, and clearly they were ready, because a lot of these are redacted. I mean, already you can see we found several files that were, once again, over 100 pages of redacted information. So it was all ready to be released. It's unclear why it wasn't. But let me caveat before we get into the material that this is a breaking
later,
story,
Donica.
and as such, I'm sure there's going to be some pieces of information that we are interpreting or trying to interpret live. And because of that, I want to warn you to withhold your judgment on some of this stuff until we get more evidence. I'm sure the president's going to be asked about some of this stuff.
Withhold your
I'm
judgment.
sure Todd Blanche, Pam Bondi, they're going to get asked about this because it is extremely damning, I think, what we see in some of this. Specifically, I want to draw your attention immediately to the
Let's just
10
check this one out.
co-conspirators that are mentioned in some of these emails in 2019. Now, this is just alarming stuff because prior to this, remember that all we really had was Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. That's the only people who have ever faced any charges at all. Ghislaine Maxwell, the only one who actually faced consequences, right? But in 2019, apparently there were 10 co-conspirators. Now, the people who were
And
sending this
they were
to and
supposed to
from have been blacked
be-
out, but at the bottom we see that this is the violent crime section, crimes against human trafficking unit. And we can see that of the 10 co-conspirators, 3 have been located in Florida, served grand jury subpoenas, one in Boston, one in New York City.
Didn't what's his name? Kash Patel say that there wasn't any other conspirators? Wasn't it? Didn't he say he was just trafficking girls for himself, and that he didn't hold any of the, and he just like had all these videos just for fun, not that he was trying to hold anybody accountable. Um, huh? 10 cooking. Is this like that's something we're just now learning? That wasn't like a thing that was like knowledge when the 2019 like case was happening. 3 have been located in Florida and served JG subpoenas. What is a subpoena again? Uh, witness or subpoena or witness's sermon is a writ issued by a government agency, often in court, compel testimony by a witness to produce evidence under penalty of failure. Yeah, just kind of show up and talk. All right. Yeah. Okay. Um, and served JG subpoenas in Boston, NYC, Connecticut, located and served. 4 of the 10 are outstanding, with attempts having been made. One is a wealthy businessman in Ohio. Is leading. Is it JD Vance? I wouldn't be surprised. Lee being sent to see the remaining 3 are out of pocket. Hmm.
one in Connecticut were served. 4 out of the 10 are outstanding with attempts having been made. What is a wealthy businessman in Ohio? A lead is being sent to CV, and the remaining 3 are currently out of pocket. This is stunning stuff.
Yeah.
Previously, we did not know how many co-conspirators were suspected of, or I'm
Right.
not aware of anything like that. And
Only
additionally, some
10?
of the details on this are revealed later because we see this subject line. It says co-conspirators at the top, and it
Oh,
says blank does not need to head out. We made
yeah, if you need necessarily like any sort of testimony as to why there is any reason to say that Epstein was affiliated with like Israel at all is one of the other people I like been like known to be accused or known to be affiliated with Jeffrey Epstein was former Prime Minister of Israel Ehud Barak. Um or just kind of whoa. Um like mm, anybody who's and a couple other world leaders. There was some stuff in the newer Epstein in one of the newer Epstein files releases that is about that talks about him and his like political dealings. We could
contact with
discuss that in
blank
a little
last night
bit
in New York City.
because I
Blank
do need
last
to learn
night
more.
in New York. Contact was made with blank, blank, and blank. By the way, I love how these potential co-conspirators are people who are being blacked out. Like, why? I
Right.
thought the whole point of this was you couldn't redact people for
Right.
personal information reasons or for public embarrassment. You could only redact on the basis of it being a victim. And I'm not sure how these people could possibly be victims here.
Epstein Files Transparency Act
Right.
prohibits redactions, quote,
Sometimes having
on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity.
hell yeah.
Has anything been redacted on that basis?
Absolutely, positively not.
But anyways, you can see that it says attempts were made to blank.
Why? I don't understand how they continue to ah, it's they're dabbing. Is what Hassan says. They dab on us, bro. They're like they like shove their meat in our face, right? And it's like they're like shaking it all over, right? And then they like accuse us of sexual assault when they slap us across the face with their dick. You know what I mean? Eh,
And Brunel, that's Jean-Luc Brunel, the famous who's now dead. Blank is confirmed to live in New York, was away for the holiday weekend. We did not have a good address, but an attempt was made in New York. Attempts are made to Maxwell today. Blank, you get it. Like, it's all the people they suspected this whole time are redacted, of course. And then they say, I do not know about Ohio contacting Wexner. Now, that's a reference to Les Wexner, the former CEO of Victoria's Secret. This is huge.
yeah. I know Victoria's Secret. Was the meh. What was it talking about? Les Wexner in this? I literally had just seen it. United States Grant. Why do they have a Spotify version of it if you can't hear it? Oh, his lyrics are here? Wow. Good morning. Why can't I? Can you please state your full name for the record? So I recognize you're wearing a mask behind plexiglass. Oh, 2019. Hmm. It must have been this one. United States versus Ghislaine Maxwell. What did yeah, yeah, that's what I was listening to. Like masks? Like tracks. I never liked any of these. 3 hours, 40 minutes. If I can get it working, I'll probably
long
try and listen
suspected
to
that
it.
he was, of course, one of the co-conspirators. And obviously,
Yeah.
the fact the FBI suspected it isn't a 100% proof confirmation. But clearly, they were serving grand jury subpoenas. I mean, that must be who they're talking about, one wealthy businessman in Ohio, because
Let me see if
later
I can
it's
find it.
confirmed by this whole idea of
Mm. Oh my god. I have too many tabs open. So I was looking at this YouGov poll earlier. Um turn that off. We'll get back to this. But this is what I want to look at right now.
10
Unmute.
co-conspirators. This is really bad to know.
There we go.
That we knew,
Excuse me,
as early as 2019, the right people to target, and yet our FBI, who's had evidence of this the entire time, or leads on it, has declined to prosecute, right? Because this is what the FBI now tells us. Oh, don't.
There it is. He told her that he was best friends with the owner of Victoria's Secret, and she would have. Where? Yo. Is it here? What does that say? Good morning, good morning. Please state your full name. I recognize it. Is this the same one? Yeah. Okay.
Don't bother. Don't worry
I guess
about
it was from.
That's what
Yeah,
they
that was
wanted
from
us to
this
believe
one,
in
right?
July. Fast forward to December, we find out there's 10 guys that they knew about since like 6 years ago. You know, it's insane. Even over here, we see that in one of the lawsuits, I believe this is with Maxwell, the government actually wanted to refer to people at trial as co-conspirators of the defendant, aka Maxwell, for the purposes of a rule. And then they say Jeffrey Epstein, and then there are two names listed there who are going to be listed as co-conspirators. Again, who are those people? We were told that the only co-conspirator now is Maxwell, and if you don't believe that, you're crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist. But back in 2020, this was a idea not just promulgated by wackos, it was promulgated by who? The FBI themselves, the Department of Justice. Look at this. Co-conspirator question transcript. This is from USA NYS. They say, question, when Jeffrey Epstein died, a lot of people asked, who's next? Is the government going to hold people who are accused of helping him recruit these girls? Are they going to hold them accountable? And then the answer is, well, I'll note that the original charges against Jeffrey Epstein contained a conspiracy charge, and we allege that there were conspirators involved. Jeffrey Epstein couldn't have done what he did without the assistance of others. And I can assure you that our investigation is moving forward, except I guess not. Against everyone except for Ghislaine Maxwell, it got killed. Like, Ghislaine Maxwell was the only one who faced justice, right? Except then she got moved to Club Fed, to this nice prison, right? And by the way, that's a whole interesting interview.
Again, like I said, they're the ones who get to pretend like they have more agency.
Saw happen with Todd Blanche, which is Trump's former defense lawyer. So he got grilled on Meet the Press about his relationship. Like, why did Ghislaine Maxwell go to this nicer prison immediately afterwards? And while he declines to comment on it, he says something very interesting.
Why was she moved just days after you interviewed her, Mr. Blanche?
So that's a Bureau of Prison Security issue that I will not talk about.
Did you have anything to do with it? Did you have anything to do with it?
Let me finish. First of all, I am responsible for the Bureau of Prisons. So every decision that they make lands on my desk to the extent it needs to. But just let me talk about the security issue. At the time that I met Miss Maxwell, there was a tremendous amount of scrutiny and publicity towards her. And the institute.
Who's Todd Blanche? Lawyer. The 13th story to revive. Deputy AG Todd Blanche. Wasn't this the guy who DOJ gooned? Oh, goon. Backed into corner over Epstein. Todd Blanche, wasn't that Trump's lawyer? No. Let me actually rewind because I don't think I was paying attention. I think I was thinking about something else.
By the way, that a whole interesting interview we saw happen with Todd. I guess not. Against everyone except for Ghislaine Maxwell, it got killed. Like, Ghislaine Maxwell was the only one who faced justice, right? Except then she got moved to Club Fed, to this nice prison, right?
Yeah, she got this nice ass not even a prison. You got the vacation home with hella other people. It's like, I'm tired of being Ghislaine's bitch. That guy. Okay. I would be too. Um
Right? And by the way, that a whole interesting interview we saw happen with Todd Blanche, which is Trump's former defense lawyer. So he
yeah.
got grilled on.
Yeah. Trump's this guy was blatant corruption, right? Trump's defense lawyer, right? The guy who who personally was defending Trump, right? Is now the attorney general is now doing Trump's bidding simply because that was his lawyer, right? And he's in the government. Is like the most blatant form of. Yeah, he's like, yeah, no, I'm lying to your asses to protect this boy ass. You know what I mean? That's where I get my paycheck. Yeah, like what? Crazy, crazy. You are a attorney general, my boy, a deputy attorney general, brother. All of these jobs are made up. That's why these things can happen. Don't ever stop to think for a moment that any institutions or social realities that we create, that we combine together, actually exist um apart from the collective for the collective decision to say that we exist, right? They like apart from the collective decision to say that the president has power, right? Apart from our collective um we give them agency. We give them agency not in terms of like oh yeah, you're buying the billionaire stuff, so you're letting them like go ahead and be evil. Not what I'm saying at all. It's saying we have these social contracts like fiat currency. We have these social contracts like um uh fuck. What did I drop? Are you fucking serious? Whatever. Yeah, and we continue to pretend that these social contracts have validity apart from our signage of said contract. And we pretend that that signage um is a physical material thing that all of us collectively wrote on and signed on, and now we can't change anything because that's just the way that we decided the world works. Not me. I didn't say anything about that. I don't want anything about that. Who the hell are you talking about? Who decided that? Not me. Who was the one who built this country? Not me. Who is the one who founded this country? Not me. Right? Not even literally, like, literally, not even just like physically, not everyone like here in us, not people who are in the positions of us. This country was never built on the backs, not even, this country was built on the backs of, native genocide, black slavery, um, poor white servitude, right? And the people who benefited were rich white, oftentimes male, um most of the time, if not almost all the time male, bourgeois, land property owning peoples, right? That's who this country was built for, right? And that's how this country was born um out of genocide and out of a war to continue said genocide, to continue said colonial like exploration, to continue said um like exploitation of the natives, to continue said exploitation of the black population, that which was kidnapped, that which was bought, that which was forcibly brought over, used as a crocodile, used like crocodile skin, basically, our skin would have been used for leather in the same way they use it for like crocodiles. Not saying that crocodiles should get that treatment either, but like it's so much easier to say, yeah, no, it's just a crocodile. then yeah, no, it's just a black person. That nigga can talk to you. That nigga can tell you he don't want that, right? Don't do it to the crocodile. That nigga is saying he don't want it. Why? Ah! 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 Yeah.
The press about his relationship. Like, why did Ghislaine Maxwell go
The bigger your ego, the smaller other people appear.
to this nicer prison immediately afterwards? And while he declines to comment on it, he says something very interesting.
Why was she moved just days after you interviewed her, Mr. Blanche?
So that's a Bureau of Prison security issue that I will not talk about.
Did you
But
have
I think
anything
it's
to
fair
do with
say
it? Did
that
you
at
have
the de-
anything to do with it?
Let me finish. First of all, I am responsible for the Bureau of Prisons. So every decision that they make lands on my desk to the extent it needs to. But
Oh,
just let me talk about
yeah.
the security issue. At the time that I met Miss Maxwell, there was a tremendous amount of scrutiny and publicity towards her. And the institution she was in, she was suffering numerous threats against her life. So the BOP is not only responsible for putting people in jail and making sure they stay in jail, but also for their safety.
All right, so he's like, yeah, that's crazy. No, I'm not going to talk about that. But every decision lands on my desk. I mean, eventually he goes on to say that,
said, yeah.
she was in so much danger. We were worried about her safety as a prisoner. I just got to say, there's a lot of concern about Ghislaine Maxwell. All of a sudden, I don't know where.
Oh no. We have to protect this known sex trafficker, little pedophile. Oh no. But yeah, no, I honestly would no, no. I'm never gonna say that. I was gonna say I would prefer her alive to be able to be able to like verify all these other things. But she's never gonna do that. Why? She lies whenever the clock ticks, bro. She lies literally all of the time. If it is any o'clock, she is lying. If her mouth is moving, there is no truth coming out of those lips. I'm telling you, bro. She stay perjuring. It's ridiculous.
That came from. There's not a lot of concern
Listen,
about these conspirators.
Ghislaine Maxwell. How the fuck do you spell Ghislaine? Yeah, something like that. Ghislaine Maxwell perjury. Yeah, she got convicted. Yo, what? Um, yeah, no, she faced a separate trial for perjury in 2022. During a trial, she was found to have made multiple false statements under oath. Yeah. Um, Epstein associate.
And Ghislaine Maxwell is asking a federal court to vacate her conviction on sex trafficking and other charges. The request could complicate the Justice Department's release of the Epstein files by tomorrow's deadline. ABC News Washington Bureau Managing Editor Catherine Falders is here for more on that. Hi, Catherine. So
Supposed to
Maxwell's petition
evacuate.
says substantial new evidence has
Wait,
emerged
what's that headline?
showing she
Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell asked court to set aside her conviction. Not necessarily what I'm looking for. I'm looking just for perjury. How Epstein and Maxwell's empire finally collapsed. Um, do we know it's collapsed? DOJ said noble woman, woman fatally stabbed at noble. Oh, apparently unprovoked attack. Police, December 24th. Rest in peace. Ghislaine engaged in significant pattern of dishonest conduct and enabled participant in abuse of multiple girls and failed to take responsibility for her crimes. Yeah, this is Ghislaine Maxwell. was the assessment of the federal prosecutors who brought a criminal case against the longtime associate of Jeffrey Epstein and sent her to prison for 20 years. Now, 3 years later, amid the ongoing controversy surrounding Trump and the handling of the Epstein files, the Department of Justice has decided to approach Maxwell, 63, purportedly learn more about her knowledge of whether Epstein's sex trafficking extended to other people than himself. Yeah, and this is what the new thing is confirming is that again, Ghislaine Maxwell is a liar. Truthfully testify. Thank President Donald Trump for his committed to uncovering the very truth of this case. Uncovering the truth of this case. Maxwell continues to um, in their sentencing memo in 2022, defense lawyers argued Maxwell should not bear all the punishment for which Epstein should have been held responsible. Epstein was the mastermind. Epstein was the principal abuser. Epstein orchestrated the crimes for his personal gratification. Only personal gratification? No. Epstein was the mastermind. Epstein was the principal abuser. And Epstein orchestrated the crimes for his personal gratification. Oh, wait, no. Not Ghislaine. Indeed, Ghislaine never had the profound misfortune um, of meeting Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, had her, she would not be there, they argued. How? Yeah, I don't know if Epstein would have had the ability to do the things that he was able to do without Robert Maxwell's help, without like the ability for um Epstein to connect with all of these rich and famous and powerful people, even just as like a financier, which nobody believed he was. Um, how is he gonna be able to create said empire without Maxwell? Um, According to persecutions, the testimony elicited Maxwell's trial demonstrated she was a vital participant in Epstein's crimes, offering a veneer of respectability and trust before the convicted sex offender abused dozens of teenage girls. She identified and preyed on vulnerable young women, groomed them to normalize their abuse, and participated in the abuse, directly enabling one of the most significant sex trafficking operations in U.S. history. Prosecutor said. Maxwell befriended her victims, won their trust, broke down their barriers, broke down their boundaries, and normalized sexual abuse, wrote in the memos. Maxwell's victims trusted her. She was seemingly she was a seemingly respectable woman who showed interest in them and promised to help them. She was the key to the entire operation of the scheme, and Epstein could not have committed these crimes without her. Easily. According to the government sentencing memorandum, uh, according to the government sentencing, Maxwell personally engaged in sexual abuse when she fondled the breasts of victims. She was also the person who was most frequently in the room when Epstein abused. One of the victims who testified under the name of Jane. Years of sexual abuse, multiple victims, devastating psychological harm. None of this could have happened without Maxwell. And she lied. Persecutors repeatedly emphasized that Maxwell she could not be trusted. She engaged in significant patterns of dishonest conduct, which speaks volumes of her character. They identified at least 4 instances in which Maxwell allegedly lied or made dishonest presentations to the authorities in civil lawsuits. During a 2016 deposition, she said under oath that she never gave Annie Farmer, a victim who testified at trial, a massage. Farmer's testimony at trial established that was a lie, prosecutor said. She allegedly lied to court officials in an interview about her assets when the court denied her bail application. The judge noted that Maxwell misrepresented key facts to the pretrial services, by extension, the court. The prosecutor said that Maxwell lied in November 2021 when she told the court, "I have not committed any crime." Wow. It's like Trump or Netanyahu saying, "I have no blood on my hands. I've got no blood on my hands. I don't know what you're talking about." It's like Hitler saying, "I've done nothing wrong." You're ridiculous. In response to the question about whether she engaged in plea discussions with the government, Maxwell also falsely claimed she had no assets when she interviewed with the court's probation office, having previously claimed that she had 22 million in assets, and she declined to provide information about the circumstances of her marriage. In short, defendants decides when she wishes to close facts to the court, and wrote, "Those facts shift when it serves the defendant's interests," prosecutors wrote. Hmm. Additionally, the office currently administering seems to exhibit a very similar approach to the truth, and their not so, let's say, fidelity, their lack of fidelity with the truth.
That I guess we've swept under the rug, that we don't care about anymore since 2019. Guess we knew about them and didn't care. And what's even more concerning is our president also seems concerned with the wrong people. Like, while Todd Blanche is concerned
Yeah,
about Ghislaine Maxwell's safety and well-being,
right.
you've got Trump concerned about the people who are going to be unfairly implicated in the Jeffrey.
He's talking about himself. He's not talking about anyone else. I don't think he cares about anyone else, even like his friends. I don't I don't necessarily think, like even if he thinks he does, I don't necessarily think he would do any actions that necessarily, you know what I mean? Like he's got narcissism kind of baked in there. You know what I mean? That's the whole reason he ran for office, is that power and narcissism. Additionally, hiding from his crimes. I think that's another reason. It's possible that the only reason Trump wanted to run for office in the first place was to be able to um hide from Jeffrey Epstein's crimes, and be able to say, "Oh, that's fun. I can turn that off whenever I want. That's cool." Um, that none of that ever happened because he can all sweep it under the rug because he is the president. Um, I couldn't expect him to have been able to, like, actually acquire the other sort of capital in order to be able to do that. Um, because especially at the time, Epstein was sitting on a lot of blackmail, right? Ugh. Was sitting on a lot of material that could be definitely used to have put him away. He needed a position that would have completely insulated not just him. There is one avenue that we have to be able to hold a predator with um like this sort of like facade of agency, this facade of social insulation, right? Um and that's by ripping away their social insulation, by ripping away their public veneer, right? Of uh, not being evil, which is easy to do when you can just go public with the fact that a lot of these niggas were up to some whack ass shit. Um, and bringing that to the public would have been like if Epstein were to have done that would have been big, right? And so Trump needed certain political capital to be able to say, hey, um, we're gonna put a stop to that before it even begins. Maybe, maybe. That's literally just a thought. Um, let's see. Does anyone else think of that? Because he did kill Epstein. He is the one who ordered Epstein's death. He was the president at the time. He was literally under Epstein's control, right? Epstein career is marked by various controversies. Let's see. Epstein's death was ruled a suicide, and Trump has denied any involvement in it. Duh. Obviously, it's a suicide. Didn't you know? Let's see. MSN. So this is why Trump didn't want to release the Epstein files. The dispatch includes many references to Trump, enough ammunitions for Congress to keep pressing. Munition. Today, at 2 p.m. Let's read. Yo, are you? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my guts. How do you? Give me one moment. We're gonna finish this video real quick.
The Epstein files, rather than worrying about how to catch the people that we obviously let go through the cracks.
The victims were protesting that too many of them were redacted.
I know there are a lot of people that are angry about all of the pictures of other people, but I think it's terrible. Look, I like Bill Clinton. I've always gotten along with Bill Clinton. I've been nice to him. He's been nice to me. We've always gotten along. Respect him. I hate to see photos come out of him, but this is what the Democrats, mostly Democrats, and a couple of bad Republicans are asking for.
Oh my god, this guy.
They give me their photos of me, too. Everybody was friendly with this guy. I think it's a terrible thing. I think Bill Clinton's a big boy. He can handle it. But you probably have pictures being exposed of other people that innocently met Jeffrey Epstein years ago, many years ago.
Now, I'll be honest, he gets off track from here.
He's a big boy. What he means by big boy is the social installation I was talking about earlier. One more sec. I'm not a robot, I promise. Yeah. Looks like we've got the unredacted, or like behind the paywall.
But the point he was making is that those poor, innocent, bankers who were meeting with Epstein, the poor lawyers who were meeting with Epstein, like all of Epstein's friends are just caught up in this unfortunate thing.
I know, it's
and
such
it's
a
just
shame.
such a reversal of what
Those poor
previously the
pedophiles.
DOJ and FBI believed. In fact, they believed it so much
I
that
know.
they got a federal search warrant for the SDNY, and they got it. And part of the seizable data, part of the stuff that they commanded them to seize as part of the search warrant, which, by the way, I think you need some kind of like standard of evidence for. I'm not a lawyer. You guys can chime in. But you can't just get a search warrant without some kind of evidence that you believe there's a crime that's been committed.
Right.
And part of it says evidence concerning the identity or location of co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein, including blank and Ghislaine Maxwell. So again, who is blank? Well, they keep redacting the names of these co-conspirators, uncharged, remember, and now
Who's
they're
blank?
saying we have no evidence to charge anybody.
I think this is entirely speculation, right? This is built off of not entirely speculation, but this is mostly speculation from a teenager, so don't take it with a grain of salt, right? One of the co-conspirators within that redacted files, obviously, has got to be Trump. In terms of Trump has like there's been evidence to suggest that Epstein's thing was partially ran out of Mar-a-Lago, right? Epstein's whole trafficking operation was partially ran there. That they knew each other for a long ass time. In terms of it would make sense for their characters, it would make sense for that reality to be the case where Trump would have been implicated into to the degree as like a like it's Epstein, Maxwell, Trump are like the 1, 2, 3 big whammies, something like that. But again, that's speculation.
Clearly, they had evidence for a search warrant, and it's just completely ridiculous that some of this stuff is redacted and that we're viewing the rich and powerful people who are mentioned as the victims here. Now, that's all I want to talk about for now. Remember, this is a developing story, so there's, I'm sure, going to be more evidence that comes out. I will try to keep you updated.
And it will be...
I'm probably going to cover more of this stuff in the future because there's so much here. But
Definitely.
I had to get
I don't know what he's
this
talking
out
about, probably.
while it was basically not public yet. I mean, I think it's eventually going to be public. When, we don't know. But you can access all of it at jmail.world. I'll leave a link in the description. They have a special, like, drive section. The original pitch was it's like email, but you're logged in as Jeffrey Epstein. Now they've made it like the entire Google account, so you can log into his drive folder and all that kind of stuff.
It's
really
really
fun.
cool.
It's a
funny.
great UI, but more importantly,
Awesome.
it makes it all very searchable, and you can look at it. I think you'll all really enjoy it. I also want to give a special shout out to the drop site team.
I'm not enjoying it. I think that was a bad choice of words there, Boyzilla. I'm enjoying the fact that accountability is on its way. And by accountability, I mean lack of reverence for these people and lack of choosing to accept their agency as the agency that matters.
Finally, we just uploaded on CoffeeZilla. I don't like to upload this.
Remember, the gods are people too. That's what they're trying to be. They're trying to be gods, right? The upper class in any sort of society has always been that's their entire like shtick, is that they want to be seen as people who can't bleed.
Same day on both channels because it kind of cannibalizes views. This is such a breaking story that I decided to break my rule. But if you could go, please give that a watch. It's a really great story that we spent a lot.
This is a really great story. In terms of being, it's talking about debt. I watched that video earlier. It was really interesting. And that if you have a lot of credit card debt and you're getting a bunch of targeted AI generated ads, it's a whole like secret industry of just like hella scammers. This niggas is poor. Niggas is broke. And other niggas is gonna try and step on those niggas to get money from them to be able to say, I'm not broke. Right? That's the world that we live in. It's dog eat dog because we forget that it's cyclical, right? It's a race to the top or a race to the bottom. Who's to say?
A lot of time on, and I'd appreciate it if you check that out as well. I'll leave that link down below too. And yeah, thank you. I'm gonna go get some sleep.
Sometimes having an incompetent people working in government has its benefits. Definitely. But it's a lot of files that never existed. Yeah, no. Did they say the files didn't exist, or did they say the list didn't exist? Wait. Am I remembering that wrong? They had to apparently not actually redacted. I saw it on Asmongold, another leak. Why are you watching Asmongold for political content? The files that never existed sitting on Bondi's desk, but also apparently a Democrat hoax. 600 times. Bondi is still not. How is Bondi still not in jail for lying to everyone's face? Yeah. Patel lied under oath. Yes. I don't care if they are red or blue. Lock them up. Thing is, if it's the entirety of the government, if it's everyone who we're saying has not the entirety of the government, but like if it's everyone who we're saying are the people who have the most agency in the world, or the and we like and we use their systems to lock them up, I feel like you gotta remember this is their world. When they fall, all of this falls as well, right? I don't know if necessarily dropping all of the Epstein files is going to be the like it. I think it's going to be one of the catalysts, definitely, definitely the biggest catalyst. But if like somehow all of the files were to be found and complete and fully and unredacted, then given that would definitely accelerate not only the fall of the American empire, but the fall of this entire system. Those people wouldn't be locked up by America or anything. They'd probably, in all honesty, maybe be locked up by China. Right? You know what I mean? I hope we have people in the FBI leaking this on purpose. Feels like releasing 100 plus page documents is completely censored is a massive admission of guilt. Yes. Yeah, he's like, yeah, no, I did it. And I think that's what they're trying to get at, because they can't really do much else, right? They're saying, yeah, no, there is stuff to hide, but we're just not gonna show you what there is to hide. We know you know. We both know we know, right? But like, I'm just gonna pretend like I don't and ignore it, right? And I'm never gonna show you, because once you see it, that's when the illusion shatters. That's when the illusion shatters. CoffeeZilla is not suicidal, loves his family very much. He's a competent swimmer and knows how to operate a motor vehicle, has no history of any cardiac problems or diseases. Yeah, no. It was funny because like I don't know of anyone in my family who has like died of a heart attack. It was or like even like necessarily like diseases. All of my old like family members in Kenya who I know are still alive, right? Except for like my grandfather, and he lived like a while. And my other grandfather, I don't even know. You know what I mean? I love them all. I love them all. In their own way. Actually, just got my license as well. Not suicidal. And I love my family. And I'm a really good swimmer. Turns out, some stereotypes can be broken. Let's be clear, the U.S. government is unquestionably protecting criminals. Here's the quiet part. Trump killed. Oh, yes. I needed to get to the Atlanta article, the one that came out today. We're going to read this. I think we're going to then try and move on a little bit to other news. Not too long.
Nearly 2 years ago, Donald Trump kicked off the presidential campaign season with the declaration, "I was never on Epstein's plane or at his stupid island." He posted on Truth Social in January 2024. Reports to the contrary, he insisted, were the fault of AI and of his political rivals. This is what the Democrats do to their Republican opponent, who is
Stop speaking. I think I'm gonna go live on TikTok as well. Oh. Go live and unwind. Okay, I'm putting on my I'm gonna put this on the TikTok live. TikTok live studio. Here we go. TikTok live studio, loading live studio. Yo, are you serious? Okay, I guess I'm gonna play a little bit of Roblox while I wait for live studio to log on. Or see if I can find video on the Epstein files I can commentate on while I'm playing Roblox. Oh, this video is fantastic. I need to finish that one. Edit. DOJ has officially released volume confirming our report. Gmail is the right place to find evidence. I have a backup copy that I can provided. Gmail team is still working on posting video clips. Videos, okay. Cool.
Welcome to the NewsHour. The Justice Department released nearly 30,000 more pages of documents related to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, including many that reference President Donald Trump. The new batch comes as the DOJ is being criticized for not releasing all of the documents by the deadline set by Congress and heavily redacting many of those they have put out. Our White House correspondent Liz Landers has been going through the recent batch, and she joins us now. Hi, Liz. What is in this latest release?
This is 30,000 more pages that were put up last night, taken down, and then reposted by the Justice Department. This includes photos, video surveillance, a lot of legal correspondence between different prosecuting areas that were prosecuting the Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell case. There are a few pages of this that are fully redacted, no explanation why. There's also an email that mentions 10 co-conspirators that the FBI was discussing in 2019. That is some news that people have picked up on. And there's also a few mentions of President Trump.
Let's talk about some of those mentions of him. We should say the president has not been accused of any wrongdoing in relation to Epstein, but there are some troubling references in here. There
is a reference in one FBI file that includes a rape allegation. This was apparently made during the height of the 2020 campaign. There's also a court document that talks about a 14-year-old girl who was taken to Mar-a-Lago in 1994. She said that she was there with Jeffrey Epstein, who introduced her to its owner, Donald Trump. Epstein apparently elbowed Trump playfully, asking him, referring to Jane Doe. This is a good one, right? Trump smiled and nodded in agreement. They both chuckled, and Doe felt uncomfortable, but at the time was too young to understand why. There was another Department of Justice internal email sent from a U.S. attorney to an unknown person, again redacted. This was sent in January of 2020, talking about Trump being on Epstein's plane. It says, quote, "For your situational awareness, we wanted to let you know that the flight records we received yesterday reflect that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than we previously had reported or that we were aware of." And it said that he is listed as a passenger on at least 8 flights between 1993 and 1996. Now, the Department of Justice put out a statement this morning on social media saying that some of these documents contain untrue and sensationalist claims made against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false. And if they had a shred of credibility, they certainly would have been weaponized against President Trump already.
But we don't know which of those documents they're referring to.
No, there's not a clear indication in there.
So what is President Trump saying about all this?
So President Trump was asked yesterday at his club in Palm Beach about some of the release that had come out, and in particular about former President Bill Clinton being in some of those images that we saw last week. Here's what he said.
A lot of people are very angry that pictures are being released of other people that really had nothing to do with Epstein, but they're in a picture with him because he was at a party, and you ruin a reputation of somebody.
Why is Epstein at a party?
So,
what else is he known for? Who invited him? Why? You ever thought about that?
a lot of people are very angry that this continues.
The president has repeatedly expressed his frustration that the Epstein files story continues to dominate the news, while he said it's overshadowing some of the accomplishments of his administration.
This is not how this was all supposed to roll out, right? Congress passed a law. Legislators are upset about this, as are some of the survivors. What are they saying?
To put it bluntly, the way that this has been released by the Department of Justice has not been in compliance with the original intent of the law. The Epstein Transparency Act directed the Department of Justice to publish all of the files and materials related to Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Flight logs, records, any grand jury testimony, all of that was supposed to be released, redactions to protect victims' names, but that was it, and anything related to ongoing investigations, that was supposed to be redacted. What we have seen is that not everything has been released all at once. Instead, we're seeing this kind of trickle out over the course of several days now. We've also seen names that have been redacted in some of these emails with no apparent reason why, between attorneys, it looks like. That's not supposed to be covered up in some of these redactions. And also, we've seen that these files have been posted and then taken down in 2 instances now without explanation from the Department of Justice.
Liz Landers, thanks for staying on top of all this for us.
Of course.
Isn't this Manhattan Beach? Yeah. And an island.
Hey, just a minute before you move on. I want to say thank you for watching and for supporting us.
Ethical
It's you, all of our viewers, our readers, and our listeners who make everything that we do possible. So thank you from everyone here at PBS News.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.
Learn. How do I make sure that okay, can I say chat and interview, live match, fitness reports, news and events? Can I say this is audience controls? Yeah, 18 and older. Go. Awesome. Hello chat, hello chat, hello chat. Live and alive. Was reacting to the Epstein files on my live on twitch.tv/Alfonduo. I'm still live currently on twitch.tv/Alfonduo. Come check me out over here. This is where I'm gonna be mainly live over there. But today, there was some yesterday there was some news about the Epstein files. I was looking through the files on jmail.world. This is a leak of some of the files that which were not released, and so until a lot of this gets confirmed, take it with a grain of salt, but there is some pretty damning stuff in here. This is beyond a lot of the things that we've been trying to see, that we've been allowed to see, and given that even some of these small things, right, even some of this like if you were to understand all of the things that which are hidden in this Epstein reality, there would be civil unrest, right? That's what everyone says. If we were to know everything here, there wouldn't be an elite to be hiding anything. You know what I mean? They are genuinely cooked in terms of their they have this veneer of agency that they hold onto so tightly that they're like, yeah, I have more agency because I have more money, because like agency represents money, right? Because I can will other people to do what I want to do, right? And the will of my will to do what I want to do using other people's will is a veneer. At the end of the day, you don't have more agency, right? What you have there isn't a greater amount of power. What you have there is people listening to you. What you have there is people saying that what your interest is okay, and I will support you in that, right? The only way that individuals can have agency, can have power, is the collective agreement that person's will, whatever they will, is more important than the reality at hand, right? There was also this Atlantic article that came out today that I wanted to explore. This was kind of what I wanted to go live for, but additionally, I did after we're done reading this, we're gonna go live again later tonight. Not later tonight. I mean, I'm gonna stay live, and then I'm gonna be reading a trip reports from r/trip reports because those are very, very interesting, and I'll try and commentate alongside of that. But for now, let's explore this new Atlantic article about why Trump didn't want to release the files. I suspect this is speculation, right? But I suspect that Trump was the one who ordered the hit, right? Trump, the quiet part is that Trump is at least partially responsible for Epstein's death, in that he was the sitting president, and he had a lot to gain, right? And perhaps he ran for office simply for that purpose, because how else is he going to accrue the social, political, and other such capital and installation that would allow him to be able to go into Epstein's like reality and say, hey, no, because you're not as invincible as you think you are, and because I am implicated in that as well, I'm gonna say no, I don't want any part of that, and I'm gonna try and get rid of you so that I don't lose my agency if any of this ever comes out. Not that he didn't want any part of like hanging out with the girls, but he wanted to distance himself because he recognized his vulnerability, and running for office was an opportunity for him to be able to gain some sort of protection, so some more social insulation on top of that, right? And that's why he's afraid of pushback. That's why he loves his base so much, because they feed into that ego, that recognition, that lack of recognition, that me as a person, me as a character, me as a figure, even me as a like a public entity, as a revered public entity, that idea, even just that idea alone, will die. They can't get over the fact that they're going to die. Rich people are just like the rest of us in that mortality is their greatest enemy. That's why you see a lot of them do a lot of the those like those like expensive ass like skin treatment things. What was his name? Was it Brian? It was like Brian something. Billionaire. Who reversed his age? Brian Johnson. Yeah, those 20. What's Brian Johnson look like now? Isn't he cooked? Damn. He'll make humans immortal by 2039. Yeah, this guy is like, you just need to sort out buggy issues like mistakenly causing lung cancer. Oh, he's so, yeah, no, that's they see the means as it's trying to spit in the face of reality. It's trying to say that, hey, you recognize that all of this is impermanence, but I want to be the exception, even though I am a part of all of this. Additionally, that's why predators, especially the predators at the top, do the things in which they have done, is to protect their own ego and to use that as a expression of their will, right? And in enforcing their will, they can say that I've imprinted myself onto reality, right? In addition to that, they can say that it's a show of reality in that I can get away with this, in that I am able to be in this sort of position and not receive any of these consequences, in that my ego is bigger than the systems that surround us that are built to control, right? In that I now have such a big ego, I can consider myself to be the one above the rest of it. The point of money is to try and build God out of man. The world's first trillionaire will be the person who had the most agency, and they will be revered by the ones who see agency in its symbol rather than its reality. Many of these flights, I don't think they even have the most agency. I think they have the biggest veneer thereof. Let's actually read this article. Oh my god. We're gonna go 3 paragraphs at a time.
Nearly 2 years ago, Donald Trump kicked off the presidential campaign season with the declaration, "I was never on Epstein's plane or at his stupid island." He posted on Truth Social in January 2024. Reports to the contrary, he insisted, were the fault of AI and of his political rivals. This is what the Democrats do to their Republican opponent, who is leading them by a lot in the polls.
I feel like we had information that he was on the flight logs.
The documents released by Trump's own Justice Department, including flight logs and emails, told a different story.
Right.
Federal prosecutors determined in January 2020 that Trump had been a passenger on the notorious private jet owned by Jeffrey
January
Epstein,
2020, that was
who would
before
later
AI.
be charged with sex trafficking far more often than they had realized. Many of the flights on what came to be known as the Lolita Express took place during the period we would expect to charge in a Maxwell case. A federal prosecutor in New York told colleagues, Epstein's co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell was subsequently convicted and is now serving a 20-year prison sentence for her role in the sex trafficking operation,
Now
including
serving a
using the
20-year
plane for
political
transporting a
sentence
minor to participate in illegal sex acts.
Now in a very, very nice prison. because she spoke with Trump, the man in office, and said that she would lie for him to cover his ass, and so he was gonna cover her ass. All right, old friend, let me make a deal with you. And it didn't even work.
There are many other mentions of Trump. The president's name appears more than 100 times in files released yesterday as part of the Dodge's compliance with legislation requiring it to disclose everything it has on the Epstein case. Trump fought Congress's demand for transparency for months before abruptly pivoting and endorsing the bill once he realized he had lost. Although many references to Trump are clearly from news reports or from seemingly unverified tips to the FBI, one conclusion from the files is that Trump's relationship with Epstein, a former friend, was of interest to federal law enforcement for years. A White House official told me that Trump was never contacted by law enforcement regarding his interactions with Epstein.
Additionally, although many references to Trump are clearly news reports from seemingly unverified tips to the FBI, one conclusion from the files is that Trump's relationship to Epstein, a former friend, was of interest to federal law enforcement for years, right? Trump is definitely involved, and people knew he was involved, and they were looking into it for fucking ever, right? In addition, what? You have to remember that those tips are currently, like, we don't have enough information to be able to verify or disprove them. So use them as you will. In order to make concrete statements, wait until we have concrete reality. Other than that, what we have is already damning enough, right? What we have is already cooked beyond measure. This is the reality that which will come. This is the reality that which we exist under, is that niggas can just do shit, and they'll keep doing shit. And there's
a White
nothing
House
we can do to
official
stop
told
it
me that
because
Trump was never contacted by
there's
law
nothing we can do to
enforcement
stop it.
regarding his interactions with Epstein
just
during the
because we
time
say that.
period for which Epstein and Maxwell were charged. The president has denied wrongdoing, though his characterizations of his relationship with Epstein, including about his presence on the plane, have shifted over time. Abigail Jackson, a White House spokesperson, declined to answer questions about the discrepancy between the president's prior statements and the material released by the DOJ, but said in a statement, "The truth remains, Donald Trump did nothing wrong."
I don't get it. I really don't understand how they can continue to repeat the same lies over and over and over again with nothing to back them. In fact, their repeated reality that they show, that they see, that they know, that we know, that they know that we know, is completely contradictory to this. It's like they think their words are more real than the reality that they created with their vocals, with their words, with all these other things, right? They with their words, as in to say, hey, you do this, hey, you do that, right? They get that agency simply because they have the social capital to tell other people what to do. And in that word, right, I guess that's why they think they can just keep saying this over and over and over again, and people will believe it, because that's what they've been able to do this entire time. This entire time, all that they've been trying to do is repeat until it is reality, because that's all they know. They don't have actual power. Other people just choose to listen. Trump is also
Trump has also insisted that he knew nothing of Epstein's criminal activity, though his critics have questioned how that could be true given their close relationship and history of chasing women together. Members of Congress from both parties have said they will continue to probe the issue in the upcoming year. Representatives I spoke with told me their takeaway from reading the files is that top officials in the Trump administration have not been honest about what was in them, and that they intend to press Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel for more information.
all right.
Although the files are overly redacted, they've already demonstrated that the narrative painted by Patel in hearings, Bondi in press statements, and Trump himself on social media wasn't accurate. Thomas Massey,
Hi, Joel.
the Kentucky
Thank you.
Republican who co-authored the Epstein legislation, told me a complete disclosure consistent with the law will show there are more men implicated in the files in possession of the government.
There's something like 10 other co-conspirators that weren't named. I think it's in this one. Search document text. Let me go on. It's not even typing. What the hell? Co-conspirators. Oh. I guess I was spelling it wrong. This one. Yo, what? It was literally right there. Was it this one? Forget where it was. It was in the CopyZilla video I was watching just a second ago. Let me see if I can just pull it up right there. I don't really care. We're moving on. I know that to be the case. That they said, oh, here, literally, like in the next paragraph. Yeah. Representatives and staff on the House Oversight Committee told me that they were drafting subpoenas in response to the documents released yesterday. Seeking more information, they were related to a law enforcement subpoenas, meaning like they were asking, like, y'all niggas better come up here and testify. Related to law enforcement's identification of 10 alleged co-conspirators shortly after arrest. The co-conspirator names were redacted. One of which likely is Trump, given that Trump was also given that Trump was also generally implicated to have been. Trump was generally implicated to have been half of the operation in terms of this is allegedly, right? Trump allegedly helped run the entire operation out of Mar-a-Lago because they were neighbors, you know what I mean? He's also powerful and all these things. And he had a vested interest in being able to do that. Shortly after, this was in the case in 2019. Definitely one of those names was Donald Trump. Because again, the truth remains. No, not the truth remains that Donald Trump. The truth remains that Trump's relationship with Epstein, a former friend, was of interest of federal law enforcement for years. Right? That is the truth. And that points to another truth, and to say that perhaps he was one of these unnamed co-conspirators. One document released yesterday is a November 2022 overview presented to the Deputy Attorney General from what, if any, steps were taken remains a mystery. The page is redacted.
Oversight Committee members are also drafting a contempt resolution to penalize Bondi for not ensuring that the DOJ fully complied with the law. The resolution, spearheaded by Massey and Democrat Ro Khanna, will give Bondi 30 days to fully release all of the remaining Epstein materials, then fine her $10,000 each day that she doesn't release them after that. They told me they expected to introduce the resolution when Congress returns in January. They are also moving ahead on articles of impeachment for Bondi and said they were optimistic that they could get them passed in the House.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. The Oversight Committee are drafting a contempt order to penalize Bondi for not ensuring that the DOJ fully complied with the law. Resolution spearheaded by Massey, the Democrat Ro Khanna, will give Bondi 30 days. Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna are goats for their they're standing up for this. I think Massey is somehow he's evil on a lot of other fronts. I don't know him too well, but all I've seen is like a couple of old tweets, and then also him. No, not old tweets. I think I just heard some stuff about him. But also all I've seen like directly of him is his push for transparency all on the Epstein situation, on the Epstein files, to fully explain. I don't think they should give them 30 days. I think they should give them 10 days. And fine her $10,000 each day she doesn't release them after that. They're just gonna pay that. They told me that they expected to introduce the resolution when Congress returns in January. They're also moving ahead on articles of impeachment for Bondi. And she said they were optimistic that they could get them passed in the House. Yeah, definitely, yeah. Rokana told me that there was an emerging coalition of the right and the left to fight for justice. Yeah. They recognize that the agency that they have will fall. The reason that that the Congress is actually doing this is because the agency that they have is coming from these people, right? Some of them are just like recognizing that these people are high key fucked and they shouldn't be given they shouldn't be giving them agency by receiving agency from them, right? And saying that, okay, yeah, we're just gonna use our power to say something different then. And the way that they're saying that, and that's one reason. And another reason is because a lot of them want to stay in power, and their power comes from the people at the top. And if the people at the top are going to fall because the public needs to know all this information, and once they do, then inevitably it's going to collapse in that way. Proven to be kryptonite for the marks at the beginning of the Trump era. Yes. The alliance has added, again, the Epstein files has proven to be the kryptonite that marks the beginning of the end of the Trump era. Donald Trump is no longer going to have the power that he thought he once had, right? And people are seeing the writing on the walls. The files released yesterday, that's why Congress is doing what they're doing, is my assessment.
The files released yesterday, and Trump's prominence in them, appear to have changed the calculation for senior Democratic Party leaders as they prepare for the midterm elections. Party leadership had previously sought to convince junior members not to focus on Epstein. But this week, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said he will push for the Senate to hold the DOJ accountable for not fully complying with the legislation, citing a missed 30-day deadline for all files to be released in excess of redactions in those that have been. The Department of Justice needs to shed more light on who was on the list, how they were involved, and why they chose not to prosecute. Protecting possible co-conspirators is not the transparency the American people and Congress are demanding, Schumer said in a statement.
And some of these people, hello, NS, or LB, like, whatever, your name, says, hi, we're reading the Atlanta article posted today about why Donald Trump has been holding off to release the Epstein files. Conclusion so far, they have a lack of agency that they wish to I guess. Welcome. No one. Connor told me the Department of Justice needs to shed more light on who was on the list and how they were involved, as why they chose not to persecute. Yeah. Some of these people are going to be not innocent whatsoever. Most of these people are not going to be innocent whatsoever. Not in terms of some of the not congressmen, right? There are going to be some congressmen who are very, very guilty. But they are probably going to push for it either way to hide because they recognize again that their agency is not coming from that. Oh, I see. Mute mic. Yeah, my microphone is kind of just at low volume right now. Huh. I don't know how to turn up the volume in that other than just kind of holding it, I guess. So I guess I'm just going to hold it with my left hand? Ugh, that feels weird. The Department of Justice needs to shed more light on who was on the list, how they were involved, and why they chose not to persecute, protecting possible The Justice Department has acknowledged that there are still many more files to release, even though they were supposed to release them after 30 days had been up. There's still many more files to be released, and the known backlog grew longer every day when the DOJ announced that the FBI and New Yorkers prosecutors had uncovered over 1 million more documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein case, and that the progress of reviewing them could take a few more weeks. Yeah, it is a lot of stuff. It's like, okay. I mean, I guess then the 30-day thing might make sense. I think you can already start to penalize them for that because they gave them 30 days to be able to do that in its entirety, right? And you can split this up by people, and they have been doing so. It's not about how long it's going to take. If it was about how long it was going to take, they would have been working on it since the beginning. They're dilly-dallying. They continue to dilly-dally. Stalling for what? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what they're waiting on.
The Justice Department has acknowledged there are still many more files to be released. And the known backlog grew longer today when the DOJ announced that the FBI and New York prosecutors had uncovered over 1 million more documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein case, and that the process of reviewing them could take a few more weeks. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche had earlier said on Meet the Press that the delay was due to the need for additional redactions in order to protect victims. Behind the scenes, his office has requested additional emergency help from U.S. attorneys' offices to continue reviewing and redacting Epstein-related material over the Christmas and New Year holidays. CNN reported.
Behind the scenes, official emergency help from U.S. attorneys to continue reviewing and redacting Epstein-related materials. They have to explain why they redact stuff? Which they haven't done. They've not been doing that at all. We turn that down so it's not the loudest in the fucking world. Jesus Christ. Actually, because I can actually, I just realized that I can use my microphone, and I can turn up the volume here. I'm just gonna do that, and then I'm just gonna talk. I'm just gonna keep talking then. We could turn that up a bit. Okay, perfect. If I end up yelling, I'll just yell away from the mic so it doesn't actually pick it up way too loud. When asked if the president still has confidence in his attorney general handling of the release of the Epstein files, Jackson said the president's entire cabinet, including AG Bondi, has done a great job implementing the president's agenda. The president's agenda. Let me mix audio. There we go. We're going to turn that down just a tad. 72%. Yeah. And then my microphone is way over top so we can actually hear it. Fun fact of the day. I'm getting a fun fact of the day message. Nice. Fun fact of the day. Oh. Let's finish this Epstein files. The survivors of Epstein's abuses reacted both with excitement and anger as they reviewed the new files, lighting up group chats. Some were working retail jobs, one of the busiest days of the year. Others were carrying children home from school. Right. Okay. Some were working retail jobs from one of the busiest day of the year. Others were working for children. Were caring for children, from school.
Survivors of Epstein's abuses reacted with both excitement and anger as they reviewed the new files, lighting up group chats. Some were working retail jobs on one of the busiest days of the year. Others were caring for children home from school. Lisa Phillips told me that there were still too many unanswered questions.
Way
The
too many.
months of work she and other Epstein survivors had put into lobbying Congress were finally delivering results. This is the first news that has made me feel like we are making headway, she told me.
Genuinely.
Sigrid McCauley, an attorney who represents several of Epstein's victims, said it would take time to know the true impact of the avalanche of new documents released yesterday. But she told me that one thing is clear. These brave survivors were absolutely correct that the government was withholding critical information from the public.
And I sincerely doubt that there was any doubt. I actually had never seen any sort of like counter, what's it called? Counter narratives against Epstein, even before it became like the thing that it is now. Almost always was Epstein. Well, I guess it was a Clinton conspiracy for a while. But yeah, almost always was their like kind of unanimous consensus that Epstein didn't kill himself. And the rest kind of spilled from there, right? So, what? What are you hiding in here? Oh. Wait. Look up Amazon, search flight records. Oh, look up Amazon purchases. Did he order them? Huh. Oh, this is fully like an AI. Interesting. Legacy of Spies. Hmm. Interesting. Hello, Unknown 29. I think that's enough Epstein for today. We have other news to get to before we head out for the night. After I read my... You know what I should have here? I should have my link tree also additionally right there. Hold on. I could do that. But I probably should have at least something going on up here for me to try and describe. But let's read. This is of the Trump administration. Hundreds of TA members indicted in 10 months, including terror charges. TDA. What's TDA again? Whoa. Oh my god. That's like, it's copy and paste headline. Whoa. Does that usually happen? What? Floyd County Chronicle by Bethany Blankley. Okay. And then wait, you go check out another one of these. Indian Gazette. Exact same title. Yo. Did they just copy and paste? Or I'm so confused. How about okay, yeah, well, okay. Then it's the same article. It's the same person. I guess she's just selling her article to multiple places. Norfolk Daily News. All right, who the hell is Bethany Blankley? About Bethany Blankley, Reports for Center Square News, publication of Franklin News Foundation. She's gained international recognition for her reporting at the U.S.-Mexico border. Yeah. Are they allowed to do that? Are they allowed to do that? I feel like Ground News should have the caveat written out here that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these articles, 9 of these articles are all 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 of these articles are the same exact article. It's the same exact article. How? That's not... Yeah, come on. Do they have different ratings? Bias, Total news sources, right-leaning. Wait, how are some of these right-leaning if they're the same exact article? And is it okay? It's not like recommended by article. It's recommended by by source. Wait, is my music on? Oh yeah. Let's see. Nintendo upbeat and chill video game music while studying. That's an ad. Nike. That's okay. It's ridiculous, bro. Stop. 42. Yeah, this is 0% blind spot for the left. I don't even know if you can consider it 42. All right, let's read her article then. Wait, is a center publication for that news foundation. She gained international recognition for her reporting at the U.S.-Mexico border for exclusive coverage of national security threats at the southwest and northern borders. Oh, those Canadians. And those Mexicans and Canadians, they're infiltrating our country. She's a finalist for the Deo Prize in reporting of the northern border. What is her reporting on the northern border? Texas leaders propose solution for northern border. Yeah. Oh, she just wrote for Center Square and all of these. Okay. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. All these other places just took her thing and ran with it. She's also the only exclusive recorder to cover multiple Operation Lone Star Task Force operations, working with Texas sheriffs targeting human and drug smugglers and traffickers. She's also consistently reported on record number of known or suspected terrorists being apprehended by U.S. authorities at the U.S.-Canada border, which accounts for 65% of all KSTs apprehended during the Biden administration nationwide. She's reported on a record number of unaccompanied minors being smuggled into the country, and an ongoing crisis related to this, as the majority were sent to live with sponsors in facilities in Texas. She also covers Trump administration deportation efforts, Texas legislature, and nationwide industry, and some education issues. She's previously wrote opinion commentary about religion and politics and has been published by the Washington Times, Religion Today, Christian Headlines, the Christian Post, Pathos, and others. She's regularly contributed to local radio broadcasts and was a contributor to the Fox News radio affiliates nationwide. She's a Trumpy. She's a Trump reporter, propagandist for the Trump administration. I'm not too. I wasn't aware of the U.S. Canada border situation. If that's factual, then kudos to her for doing journalism on that front. But I have no doubts in my mind she's not the greatest on, especially specifically on this issue, right? In fact, cruelty 2. Disable your ad blocker to continue? No. All right. I'm just gonna read this. Nope, not that one. Can I read it on Can I actually read it on Center Square? Yeah. Inside Nova. The Center Square in the 10 months. Oh, Tren de la Ragua. I see. TDA, meaning Tren de la Ragua. Who that means they can just like say someone's TDA, right? Isn't that kind of the whole reason that they're using TDA? Tren de la Ragua. Tren de la Ragua. TDA. Yeah. TDA is a prison gang in Venezuela. That's really interesting. I'm not getting any responses for. Oh, I didn't even spell it right. Oh my god, I'm like the worst at typing. Oh my god. Aragua, Aragua Train, is a transnational, organized crime syndicate from Venezuela. Tren de Aragua is led by that person, who's known as, Guero? What boy? Guero? What does that mean? Guerrero. Guerrero. Was incarcerated, known as Arago Penitentiary, functioned at the time as the organization's de facto headquarters, expanded throughout Latin America and the United States with the mass immigration of Venezuelans fleeing. Yo, what? Under the regime of President Nicolas Maduro, combating gangs has become a primary priority for many nations where Tren de la Ragua operates. The tertiary prison was taken over by Venezuelan security in 2023 when it escaped. MS-13 was the fake gang, right? Tren de la Ragua is Botiga Tren de la. It's targeting this latest wave of deportations formed in a Venezuelan prison has branched out to become a multinational crime organization. Has pulled off brazen attacks in places ranging from New York City. Founded in 2014, in that prison, central Venezuelan state of Aragua. It may have taken its name from the union of railroad workers building a train connection between Aragua and Caracas. The gang largely controlled the prison, where it ran a zoo, a swimming pool, a restaurant, and a bar from behind bars. Oh my god, this evil, violent, murderous criminal. A zoo, a swimming pool, a disco, a restaurant, and a bar. You know what? As Venezuela sank into its worst economic meltdown in history and crime became less lucrative, the Tren de la Aragua branched out overseas. It recruited new gang members from among the 8 million Venezuelans who had fled the country under economic crisis. Um, mm, Initially established crime cells in neighborhoods in Colombia, Peru, and Chile, where it smuggled drugs and people operated extortion rackets and prostitution rings. That checks out that would happen. Tren de la Aragua is notorious. Alleged crime was the 2024 killing of a former Venezuelan army officer who conspired against Nicolas Maduro and the country's authoritarian leader, then fled to Chile. Suspected gang members, dressed as Chilean police officers, abducted him from his apartment. Days later, his lifeless body was found in a suitcase. Two Tren de la Aragua members have been arrested in this case. Tren de la Aragua was eventually expanded in the U.S., which is home to about 700,000 Venezuelan migrants. Why does that matter? Are they saying these Venezuelans are Tren de la Aragua? Tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua. Beside waves of robberies, the Tren de Aragua is suspected in the shooting of two New York officers, and the killing of suspected gang members have been arrested in Pennsylvania, Florida, and California. Last year, the Biden Tren de Aragua is a transnational criminal organization. In January, the U.S. designated as a foreign terrorist organization. How much of a threat is never achieved nationwide presence in its home country? The gang somehow named Northern fearsome Yeah, it cannot be that big, and the listing was like they're so dangerous. It's like a couple people. It seems like not that like crime is good. No one's ever said that. It's just like, what are we doing here? Hundreds of indicted and including terror charges. Wow. 600 of its leaders. Actually, let me reopen that because I do actually want to look at how big of a threat it actually is. According to Charles Lebrat and John, political science, the Naval Academy, where he also directs Forum of Latin American Studies. Why is this guy? Latin American Studies. Assistant professor at the Deputy Department of Criminal Justice and Security Studies at the University of Texas, El Paso. Okay, I should know what they're saying. On October 11th, Donald Trump held a campaign in California.
In October 11th, Donald Trump held a campaign event in Aurora, Colorado, where the then Republican Party candidate and now president-elect appeared on stage flanked by large placards bearing mugshots of Venezuelan immigrants who had been arrested following their arrival to the United States. These campaign props were adorned with the words Occupied America, TDA gang members in Aurora, while the backdrop of the stage was draped in banners bearing the slogan Deport Illegals Now. It seemed unusual for the Trump campaign to spend valuable time and energy to organize a rally in a state widely expected to vote Democratic during the home stretch of what appeared at the time to be a close electoral contest. But the purpose of this campaign event was above all else symbolic. In late August, video footage had emerged of a group of armed Venezuelan migrants trying to forcibly enter an apartment in a housing complex in this nondescript suburb of Denver.
Merry Christmas.
A city that has at times struggled to accommodate a large wave of migrants from Latin America over the past several years. After the building's out-of-state landlord claimed the building had been taken over by a Venezuelan prison gang, Tren de Aragua, TDR, the mayor of Aurora repeated the claim. Before reversing himself as the incident was seized upon by conservative politicians, media pundits, and online influencers to make exaggerated claims that the city had been taken over by criminals from Venezuela.
Exactly. Yeah. These Venezuelan criminals, these drug traffickers, these narco terrorists, they're all TDA. They're all Tren de la Ragua.
As the election approached, this once largely unknown criminal organization was thrust into the spotlight as an emergent threat to U.S. national security. His vicious activities attracting the attention of Republican legislators and executive branch agencies. In the aftermath of a resounding Trump victory at the polls, buoyed in part by the electorate's disapproval with the Biden administration's handling of immigration and border enforcement, an important yet largely unanswered question remains. Does TDI actually pose a legitimate threat to U.S. national security? Surprisingly little is known about Tren de la Ragua, a fact that has given it great power and allowed it to assume the shape of a chimera in the eyes of both law enforcement and other criminal actors. Several governments in the Americas have sounded the alarm about the group, while criminals operating in the Venezuelan diaspora have claimed links to TDL to bolster their reputations and criminal legitimacy. The gang has permanent cells in Peru and in Chile, where it carried out a high-profile assassination in 2023. At the same time, evidence suggests
the guy we were seeing.
TDL has had trouble expanding in places with competitive criminal markets and where state coercive capacity is strong.
Yeah, is this also depends on whether like the validity of this depends on whether or not that was before or after Trump was like Tren de la Ragua, they're killing us all, they're having so much trouble, they're making so much trouble of us. Given all of this, the fear in campaign reason rhetoric in the U.S. is overblown. Despite the real threat TDA poses, many Venezuelan migrants, it's unlikely the group has much power or reach in the U.S., where other organized criminal organizations pose much more of a threat to citizens and even TDA. Yeah. And that's according to those two white guys. I take their word because they seem like I know what they're talking about, as opposed to Bethany Blankley. All right, this is one of the silliest things I've ever seen. The fact that there were 18 of the exact same article and they were passing it off as different articles the entire time. It faces redistricting risk after a break. Setback in urban areas. Interesting. Epstein survivor calls for Trump's impeachment over Epstein files. I reject any support I've ever given to him. Damn. U.S. murders on pace for largest single year drop on record. And yet ICE hasn't slowed down. None of these things have slowed down. Arizona Republican calls for study of criticism of Trump. Tina Peters asked Colorado to appeal court to appeal. This one, Trump warns against bad infiltration by bad Santa. Warns against infiltration by bad Santa. Defends Cole in jovial Christmas gifts call with kids. What? Clean, beautiful Cole veers into fossil fuel tangent on Christmas call with a child. Bad Santa. Dangerous. Yo, raw story, HuffPost, alternative. Yeah, let's read the the AP News version. West Palm Beach, Florida. President Donald Trump marked his Merry Christmas. This is how we're starting off the day. Posted 9 p.m. Let me just watch this.
Anastasia, who is 4 years old, and Jasper, who is 10 years old. They live in Sepulveda, Oklahoma, and Sienna is currently headed for Prague, Czech Republic.
Oh, very good. That's very
Nice.
exciting. Good. Let me have them.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello. Hi. How are you? This is the president.
Hello, you are. Oh my goodness, Jasper, Amy, hello. Hold on 1 second. That has a tracker on him.
Well, we track Santa all over the world. We want to make sure that Santa is being good. Santa's a very good person. We want to make sure that he's not infiltrated.
What?
We're not infiltrating into our country a bad Santa.
What?
We found out that Santa is good. Santa loves you. Santa loves Oklahoma like I do. You know, Oklahoma.
Thank God he's not brown. Thank God it's not Black Santa. He's a good Santa. He's a good Santa because all the pictures I've seen of him, he's got a nice white, beautiful beard, a nice white, beautiful face. He's so pretty. I would kiss him. Why is it a zoo? What is bro talking about? Why a zoo? Oh, you talking about me or Trump? Hello, big fat monkey. Welcome, welcome. How long have you been here? I don't know. I actually don't know why Trent Delaragua made a zoo in the prison. Maybe just because the prison sucks. Trump. Yeah. He's been, he's going off on a tangent. Remember, this guy's like fucking 100.
Oklahoma was very good to me in the election, so I love Oklahoma. Don't ever leave Oklahoma.
Oh, damn.
Okay?
Okay, I'll try.
Good. That's good.
An hour. That's impressive. You've just been sitting here in silence.
I think he won't get mad, but I think he'll be very disappointed. You know, he tends to be a little bit on the cherubic side. You know what cherubic means? A little on the heavy side. I think Santa would like some cookies. What would
Thank you,
like
thank you.
Santa to bring?
Would you like Santa to bring?
Not cool.
Not coal?
Not coal.
No, not
well,
ill.
coal is, you mean clean, beautiful coal.
Clean, beautiful coal. Oxymoronic. We want to make sure that Santa is being very good. Santa is a good person. What is this? What is this? This is the most ridiculous thing I've seen. Well, not the... Well, it's the first thing I've seen today. I think, that's enough news for today. I'm really tired. I'm gonna read the, I'm gonna go out and look for Trip Report to read and try to go to sleep after that, so I can wake up tomorrow and open my gifts. And watch my family do so. And participate in the festivities thereof. I don't want to hold you from your family neither. Merry Christmas. Oh, come on. Yes. Getting stuck in mental loops on shrooms and edibles, convinced that the loop is reality. My first experience... Me.exe stopped working, but I felt fine. Sure. Let's see this. That's literally nothing, by the way. This isn't that much of, like either of these substances. 60 micrograms is about like maybe like 100 micrograms is like an average trip. 2 to 3 grams. No, like 2 grams is an average trip. Right? This is not that crazy. But you remember the thing provides the dose, right? I realized that my sober brain is a machine that seamlessly stitches one moment to the next. It does this by taking the entire history of everything that's happened up to that point and then integrating the current moment into a cohesive story in which I play the role of the protagonist. At each moment, it asks a fundamental question. How does everything I've ever experienced lead up to this exact moment repeat over and over and over again, right? It's the process of cause and effect, the process of event, right? It's that when we live in a causal reality, the state of reality as it exists right now is dependent on the state of reality as it had existed a moment ago, in that there's something will change and adapt, and the way that it changes and adapt is built on a sort of rule, and a specific rule, right? As opposed to like a dream in which the ways that which it changes and adapts is kind of not based in much of anything and just happened. Well, it's based in your specific subconscious, um and the reality that you experience is that. During the peak, I actually became acutely aware of the storytelling process because it started breaking down. At each moment, the machine had to dig deeper, reach further, be more creative in order to stitch that current moment into the tapestry of the past. My body tensed. Am I losing my mind? I remember the conventional psychedelic wisdom. Let it go. So I did. The stitching machine that was my brain was breaking down. The story that I was the protagonist made less and less sense with every passing moment. Knows was the protagonist, as in was the self, the ego, the all that, right? But here's the curious thing: the story didn't stop. I was there. I was even more clearly than ever. I just wasn't the protagonist. There was no protagonist, or rather, every single thing that existed was the protagonist. It was as if it was some abstract god brain that was stitching together the story of reality itself, and no longer was me, the guy on the couch. I was that. This god brain itself, seeing reality through the story of everything that existed. Watching through every pair of eyes all at once. It hit me. This is what death is like. Death isn't scary, unknown entity. It's the story of reality without that particular me in it. It's the death of ego, the death of self. This selfhood is no longer there, and what remains is being. What remains is being that is collective, right? Not just in this material reality, but additionally within mental states, and that's if that is the primary reality is the awareness thereof anything, why is materiality the only thing that exists rather than just one system of logic that could create a story? There has always been protagonists. There will always be protagonists. I would be gone, but I would remain. I haven't always been here, but I am always has. I am always will. I understand this sounds a bit woo-woo. I'm not particularly religious. I don't believe in an afterlife in the popular sense, but this is what I experience. It's difficult to explain this. What remained afterwards was a deep sense of gratitude to be here. The experiencing this particular me in this particular story. This one was chill. This one's chill. This one's calm. The one I read yesterday was a lot more like poetic, and I like that. Unfortunately, it seems that my the thing. Let me move to cam chat. Your it's gone, bruh. It doesn't necessarily have the words next to it, which is odd, but it has your like color. Interesting. Getting supplemental loops. Yeah. That's today's trip report. Nothing, Joe. Nothing too bad. Linktree is here. Please go check out and support my friends in Palestine. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. Hello, Steph. Goodbye, Steph. Live stream is over. Merry Christmas. Take care, y'all.